Well, hello, and welcome to episode 28 of our backyard garden for the year 2024. It is August 18th, midsummer, and beautiful Sunday morning. We just finished our front yard garden, and the sky was just as blue as it could be, and it still is, which is great. So, thought we'd just get started here. Our oldest daughter has gone off to college, so this space has been vacated. It makes it a little easier to do our garden videos now. And I'll start with our snapdragons, which, unlike any other snapdragons that we have in our yard, are still doing really, really well. So they need a little bit of water, I can see, but as you can tell, these are growing up out of the concrete, and they've been just going crazy all year long, which is wild because we didn't plant them. They just managed to grow from seed. Also growing from seed are all the cleome. This is a big area for cleome, and this one is doing very well. Now, a lot of our cleome down at the bottom of this little hill are done for the year. They get kind of out of control with these long stalks. These are still doing well. This is another one that's growing up out of the concrete. Then we have this group down in here. These were the first ones to come up. They're almost all finished. There are a handful that are still blooming, but most of them are looking pretty well finished up. We don't get rid of them, however, because they have seed pods, and it's the seeds that will allow this to come back. We planted a few of these maybe 5 years ago, and all of them that have come back are just from the seeds that we get every year. So they're a really cool plant. We've got a lot more that are growing up out of the bricks here. And some will argue that it's not in your best interest to have these growing up, like for example in a fire pit or a driveway, because they will kind of dislodge the bricks. I think it depends on the number of plants that you have. If you have a lot of them, you have more of a risk for that. If you have just a few like this, I don't think it's a big deal. Now, these are growing out of the stones that we put here for landscaping, and again, they don't seem to care where they are. They're very happy and doing very well. So coming back over to the main garden, we have our couple things here at the top. This knockout rose is a yellow rose, and it's still giving us some buds, some flowers here and there, although it needs some serious deadheading, and we just haven't gotten around to it. And we have 4 gigantic white hydrangeas down through here. They've passed their high point, which is usually about mid-July, but they continue to be pretty and gradually changing colors for probably another month or two before they're done. They go from bright white to a kind of a lime green, and then they start to get kind of a reddish color on them before they turn brown and finish up for the year. Now, we have all different phases here. We have one back here, I'm going to close up on it, that still has the bright white color. That's about the only one that I'm seeing. I think all the others have started to go through their various transitions, and some of them have a fair amount of pink on them, which I say is that's the phase after the lime green phase. Just interesting how they do that, and they don't just die off and turn brown right away, which is great. So from the time that they start to bloom in late June, early July, you've got some really nice color for about 3 months. So it's an absolutely wonderful summer plant. It's a great one for borders like this, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's very low maintenance. I highly recommend it for anybody that needs a nice decorative plant for a border. Some butterfly bushes here. Unlike the one in the front yard that was a sort of a light blue color, these are the deep purple color, or magenta. We've got, I don't see any butterflies this morning, but I'm seeing a lot of moths. So technically that keeps them up to their name. And they're still blooming probably for another few weeks before they finish up for the year. We've got some other things in the background, but they're all done for the year, so I'm not really going to focus too much on those. But we do have a knockout rose. It's starting to give us some color again for the first time in about 3 months. This one was particularly impressive back in April with all the red flowers, and then it had this white clematis draped all over it. So you saw the white and the red together. It was very impressive. Then down in here we have some begonias. We got these at a box store, probably Walmart, and they've done well. Could be a little better. Some of the leaves have struggled a bit, but still they've given us a nice bit of color for the last 2 or 3 months. Azaleas here, giving us their second wind. They're much, I want to say, much more so covered with flowers in the spring, but it's they say they're fall bloomers, but it's actually midsummer around here, and they give us some nice additional pink color that we wouldn't have otherwise, so we're very happy with that. Begonias, red begonias, doing very well. These have grown much better than the pink ones. They've done well. We just got those at Walmart. Same thing with these impatiens. These have increased in size by probably 5-fold, the individual plants, and they're doing extremely well down here. They probably would do even more if we were fertilizing them on a regular basis. We did initially, and we've kind of let that slide a bit, but they're still doing very, very well. We've got some astilbe here, just another spring sort of shade plant. No flowers right now, but they're nice ground cover along with the lamb's ear, which I tend to show off a lot more in the spring. This does flower, but the flowers are done for the year. We got some more lamb's ear over here. A couple more azaleas down this way, and then, oh, almost forgot. Our little shade garden ends right here with these hostas, which are still in bloom. I keep assuming that they're finished, but I come down here and I'm always pleasantly surprised that they're still blooming nicely. We have a wisteria back in here, which continues to just sort of get by. It's doing just well enough to survive, but not really thrive. It doesn't get any sun, which doesn't help the matter, but my experience with wisteria is that they will grow anywhere. So we have one over here that's mostly in shade, and it's doing well. Next year it should give us a lot of blooms along the fence. And then we have some scattered black-eyed Susans that have come up from seed. I've left those alone, allowed them to just grow here in the mulch. It looks weedy, but if they flower, I figure it's worthwhile. Now, some of what we see here, some of the greenery is weeds, and I probably need to get down here and take care of that. But most of this part of the bed is finished for the year. We just have a few tea roses that are still blooming, like this one. This generally blooms throughout the year. It's one of my favorites in the sense that it gives us 3 different colors throughout its blooming time. And we have vinca over here, and strange situation here. We have a beaver. He comes up at night apparently, and he has really decimated our giant knockout rose. This thing was about 8 or 10 feet tall. It was huge, the biggest rose we had. And he's come up several times and just progressively chewed off all the branches, and then he just leaves them here. He doesn't even take them. It's a strange thing, and fortunately this is a very healthy plant, and instead of being dead, you can kind of see all the new growth. And here we have new growth that is coming back. So by next spring, I think we're going to have a nice big knockout rose again with a lot of flowers on it, but for the time being, it's probably done for this year. we have, now I'm blanking out on it, this plant we bought at, I think, a Walmart. It kind of struggled a little bit. It wasn't getting enough water while it was getting acclimated, but it has put out quite a few buds, even though the plant itself doesn't look that happy. And I apologize, I'm blanking out on the name, but it's a very tropical plant, very common thing that you see at Walmarts and other places. But it's giving us beautiful red flowers. Got some more zinnias through here, some daisies here, and then our big pink climbing rose is doing well again. This comes and goes, but right now we're getting a lot of color up on top of the trellis. You can really see it from the house. And over in here, we've got kind of the same thing. These will continue to bloom off and on until we get into the end of fall, when we get the first frost. Actually, that's more like mid-fall. Usually around here, the first frost can be anywhere from, I think the earliest we ever got was October 16th. That was very early. Usually it's closer to November 1st. And sometimes if you're really lucky, it'll be even later. Lots of vinca over in here. And then this plant that we don't know the name of, we put these in a few years ago. They have these nice purple leaves and purple flowers that come out in the morning. I have assumed that they're in the same family or grouping as spiderworts, because these look like spiderwort flowers. But as of yet, we don't have a name on those. Same thing with this little pink wildflower here. Not sure what they're called, but they're very pretty. More zinnias through here, more vinca. Those are really the stalwart flowers for the midsummer around here. And we still have veronica blooming. They are past their high point. You can see the bumblebees absolutely love these. I don't think we've had a video of the veronica where there weren't bumblebees at some point. And some pink roses back in there, some more coral colored roses back in there, even some daisies behind all of that as you get closer to the fence. And then all these all the greenery back here is the mix of jasmine and clematis and climbing roses. Also, I walked right past this. It was a little higher up. It was a little harder for me to see. This climbing rose is doing great. Invariably, it has some buds on it and flowers. Even though it's lost almost all of its leaves on the lower parts, the upper part has been doing very, very well. This has been a low maintenance plant. It's done very well. The thing with roses that we've kind of learned over the years is you just buy a bunch of them. Some of them are going to do great no matter what you do, and some of them are going to be very high maintenance and require a lot of work, a lot of antifungal treatments and weeding and fertilizing and everything else to do well. But like a lot of our climbing roses really have not required that at all. And then you get others where you do everything and they still die. So your best bet is just to buy a bunch of them, buy different types, and you know, odds are you're going to get at least some that do really well. Speaking of doing well, these this butterfly bush, it's just one plant. Even with that tall section in the back there, this has been the most prolific butterfly bush that we've had in the garden. And even as the others are getting close to finishing up, this one is still going crazy. In fact, I would say we have more flowers on it now than we have had at any time this year. So that's always fun to look at. And as we continue over here, of course, we have more zinnias. These have all come up from seeds. This one was given to us by a friend. Don't know the name of it. Beautiful, spiky, purple flower. We just have a couple of them, but they are doing really well. Very pretty. Has a very wildflower look to it. And then over here, these zinnias have been a real blessing to our garden. We bought 5 or 6 plants at Walmart back in probably May or June, and each one of them has increased in size by 4 or 5-fold, and just thrived with all these flowers. And it's a bright purple, absolutely gorgeous. I don't think the even the video really gives you the sense of how nice these are. You can see them from the house, which is great. Some of the other things that we've put in back here have not done as well. The balloon flowers have hung in there, although they're largely getting covered up by the zinnias now. Hopefully the balloon flowers will come back next year. We'll see. We had some sunflowers that were back in the back. Those did not do well. Probably didn't get quite enough water, but I think something has chewed them off because they were broken off entirely. I don't know if that was the beaver or something else. Got some marigolds back here that have done pretty well. We haven't even deadheaded or anything. They have just done extremely well, better than the ones in the front, which are gradually dying off. More zinnias here from seed. Over here we've got a wisteria that is finally doing pretty well. It's struggled. It's had segments that have died off, but it looks like it's doing nicely now. Got an ice plant here, a dahlia here that is doing well. We'll see how well it does in terms of flowers, but at the moment the plant itself looks really healthy. We've got the remnants of a couple of roses that we think it was the beaver. At one point I thought it was deer, but I think it's actually a beaver that has come and chewed those down to the ground. And then we got another ground cover rose here. While I'm up here, I tend to forget to do this. I want to get this wisteria growing along the fence. It's kind of tied up to the post that it's on, but I want it to start growing laterally in this direction, give us some more greenery and flowers in the springtime. All right, so we'll head back here. This is our big wisteria. I do need to do some work back in this area, get it chopped back from taking over our weeping cherry. But it's just another one of many things that I say I know I need to do, and I just kept not getting around to it. Canna over in here. We've got one flower on this side of the of this little terraced area, and then we have a bunch more over here where we get more sun. The dark green ones have not really done a whole lot. We had a couple of red flowers out of those, but the yellow ones have done much better, as you can see here. And I think they may be close to finishing up, although I do see a few more buds, so hopefully we'll still get some color out of those for a while. Here we have more of the black-eyed Susans. This is really their primary endemic area. We put these in several years ago when we had this terrace built, so that we would have color throughout the season. So we have irises in the spring, and then the early summer we have orange daylilies, and then the black-eyed Susans kind of finish up the summer. So we really have almost continuous color for several months down here. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing over here, the canna probably just got one plant in there, and now they're taking over this entire section of the yard. So once they're done blooming, I'm not going to cut them out while they're giving us some color. You can see one of these flowers close up, very tropical looking. But we're going to have to really do some aggressive digging to get these things out, or they will take over. Even though irises and black-eyed Susans generally can hold their own, they don't spread as aggressively as the canna, and this entire bed would be canna if we didn't cut them back. So we have to be very careful about that. It's kind of the same thing with jasmine. I haven't talked a lot about jasmine, but that's a very aggressive weed. Not weed, but vine. It kind of acts like a weed. It gives us some beautiful flowers in the springtime, but it really is a problem in how it takes over other things, and you don't want it to choke out your other existing plants like your roses and clematis and so forth. So we're going to have a lot of work to do come fall or early spring before this all starts to take off again. So now we head back up to the house, and I'll just show quickly these tea olives. This is what we had put in as a border plant when we first did our landscaping about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now. It was a recommendation to us by the landscapers. They're better than nothing. It's a very plain plant. I wouldn't say it's fast growing. This is 5 years. They've maybe doubled in size. And we have one here that has not done well at all. Probably as much as anything, just because these have done so poorly. And they put out a few flowers in the spring, not a lot, and they're very small white flowers. It's been very unimpressive. So we haven't done much of anything with this side of the yard. So this is one where I would consider taking this one out. It has never done well. Just taking the whole root ball out and replacing it with a hydrangea like we have over on the other side. This one's done very well. It's really, I think we put in 8, and this is the only one that has not done well. So I think a hydrangea here might be nice. And then coming up here along the side of the house, we have some big hostas. I don't usually show this off, but these have done well, although something has created some problems with our big hostas up in this area. I'm not even going to deal with that because we never walk on that side of the yard and we don't really see any of it. So I'm just going to let nature take its course with that. Over here we've got some veronica, some more hostas, lots of weeds that we need to work on. Phlox doing very well here, giving us some beautiful pink flowers. We've got some yellow knockout roses here. Actually, I don't think that's a knockout. I think this is just a tea rose. Got another one of these little spiky red flowers like we had down in the lower part of the yard. Don't know the name of it though. Nice lavender rose here. One daylily that for some reason is still hanging in there. It's, the last one that I've seen in our yard. This flower was doing a little bit better yesterday. It looks like there's one last bud that'll come out this week, and that's it. And then more vinca. A lot of things that have finished up for the year. I'm not going to talk too much about those, but we have this is mostly zinnias and vinca through here. Nice lavender roses here. And then we have actually finally our first tomato that's doing anything. It's not quite ready to pick there, but it's getting close. Our tomatoes have not done anywhere near as well this year as they did last year. We're not sure why, but then again, they were overly productive last year. There was no way we could keep up with the number of tomatoes we were getting, so it was almost sort of a nuisance. But I just find it interesting that they have not done anywhere near as well this year. Some more zinnias up in here. These are all from seed, just put in about 8 or 9 weeks ago, and here they are, 3 and 4 feet tall, covered with flowers. Highly recommend zinnias. They're very, very prolific and pretty low maintenance. I don't always show off the deck, but we have a kind of a separate garden up here with just a number of things that have all been grown from seed. We've got some morning glories over here and over here. No flowers on them yet, but they're hopefully headed in that direction. And we've got some marigolds just starting to bloom. We should get some more of those before long. And then these are geraniums and petunias and a few phlox that we put in back in the spring. This is our one bowl of that we didn't grow from seed. Everything else we did. There's Furball, one of our cats. He's doing a little bit better. He had a little trouble with anemia, and he seemed very lethargic back in the spring, but we've gotten him on some steroids, and it seems to have perked him up. Got a nice Cosmo here. It's covered with flowers. Some marigolds over here, a little behind schedule, but they're starting to bloom, and I think they'll do very well. Some nasturtiums here. These were blooming last week. We've got at least one more bud here. I'm not sure what those will do. This is their first year with those. But these have to be watered every day, or they'll get dried out very quickly. And then Million Bells down in here, doing well. And that, I think, is it. So, again, this is our yard here in the South Carolina upstate. Hope it's sunny wherever you are. And until next time, happy gardening.